Hola chicos, espero que estén bien. Es el último video sobre la gramática. Last grammar lesson. Super bien. I might make one more a Blackboard help, but this is the very last grammar lesson of the semester. You are almost done. Y vamos a ver tiempos perfectos en el subjuntivo. So if you cast your mind back to the beginning of the semester, you remember that the first couple weeks of the semester we saw perfect tenses, which is basically just that I have or I had done something, right? So I have eaten, you have talked, they had seen. And so we saw that the perfect tenses have two parts: the conjugated form of the verb haber, which we saw in the present tense, has, hemos, habéis, han. We saw in the past tense, había, habías, había, habíamos, habíais, habían. And then we saw in the conditional and future tenses, right? So I will have talked or I would have talked, habría hablado, habré hablado. I flipped those in the order that I said, but you get the main idea. And then they always have the past participle with them. The past participle, remember, for regular verbs ends in ado and ido, and then of course there's a list of irregulars that you have to watch out for. So you have the first part is the conjugated form of the verb haber, and the second part is the past participle. And we've seen four of them, like I was saying. So we saw the present perfect indicative. Hemos estudiado el presente perfecto. We have studied the present perfect. And we saw the past perfect indicative. Habíamos estudiado el presente perfecto. We had studied the present perfect. We have also seen the future perfect. Habremos estudiado el presente perfecto. We will have studied the present perfect. And we've seen the conditional perfect. Habríamos estudiado el presente perfecto. We would have studied the present perfect. So those are the ones we've seen so far. And we're just going to add two more, which are the subjunctive tenses. So if you have a context that requires the subjunctive and you're using a perfect tense, then you need to put that perfect tense into the subjunctive. So we have the present perfect subjunctive and the pluperfect subjunctive. So what do those look like form-wise? Haber in the present subjunctive for the present perfect subjunctive, plus the past participle. So here's our forms of haber: haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, hayáis, hayan. And then you add your participle. So haya hablado, hayas hablado, haya hablado, etc. And for the past perfect, same thing, a form of haber in the past. So past subjunctive, hubiera, hubieras, hubiera. And then you add your participle. Excuse me, so hubiera hablado, hubieras hablado, hubiera hablado, etc. And that's had talked, but in the subjunctive, so it's a hypothetical. When do you need it? So this is what we've been studying this semester, right? When do you need indicative? When do you use subjunctive? And so if you have a sentence like, it's true that I haven't seen them in 10 years, es cierto que no los he visto en 10 años, you just use the regular present perfect indicative because you're saying it's true that, so it's real, right? But if you had a different phrase at the beginning of that sentence, it's sad that I haven't seen them in 10 years. Well, now you're expressing an emotion about something or an evaluation of a situation, and that calls for the subjunctive. So instead of using this present perfect, you're going to use present perfect subjunctive. So es triste que no los haya visto en 10 años. So same perfect tense, but you're putting the haber in the subjunctive because the context requires the subjunctive. And the same thing is true for the past tense. So if you need to use the past perfect, it was true that I hadn't seen them in 10 years. Era cierto que no los había visto en 10 años. Was true that, so this is indicative, it's past, but it's indicative. But if you replace this, it was true with it was sad, same thing. It's going to require the use of the subjunctive. So it was sad that I hadn't seen them in 10 years. Era triste que no los hubiera visto en 10 años. So we have the past perfect, but we put it in the subjunctive because it was sad requires the use of the subjunctive. And that's it. Pretty straightforward. Here's a reference sheet that goes over, has all of the conditionals. So you guys have the old version of this. What I did was I updated it to put the subjunctives on there because I didn't have the subjunctives on there. So here's a reference sheet. That's it. You're almost home free. Adios.